Saudara sekalian, perjuangan membebaskan Palestin dan perjuangan ke arah keamanan sejagat harus terus dilestari dalam keluarga kita, bagi generasi kita yang seterusnya sampai hari kiamat. Dan bagi orang yang punya kehidupan perjuangan sebagaimana keluarga besar kita di ABIM, WADAH dan PKPIM, seluruh agensi dan institusi kita, ini adalah sebahagian daripada latihan, exercise, kewajiban yang harus terus dihidupkan, dihangatkan dalam hati dan dada kita semua. Dan bagi melanjutkan segmen dan juga acara pada sesi kali ini, kita bersama dengan kita cukup rasa berbahagia saudara Muslim Imran yang merupakan pengerusi bagi Palestinian Cultural Organisation Malaysia PCOM, juga merupakan sebahagian daripada pimpinan komuniti Palestin di Malaysia, yang akan sama-sama berkongsi nyala rasa dan juga memberikan apresiasi serta apakah yang boleh kita sebutkan sebagai rayuan warga Palestin yang berada bersama kita di Malaysia. Saya dengan ini dengan penuh takzim menjemput dan mempersilakan yang berbahagia Tuan Muslim Imran bagi menyampaikan ucapan beliau. Dengan segala hormatnya, dipersilakan.
Jazakallahu khairan akhi. Terima kasih Tuan Pengurus Majlis, يعني أصحاب الفضيلة، الأساتذة الكرام. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Terima kasih atas jemputan ke Majlis Munajat ini. Jazakumullahu khairan. Asallahu subhanahu wa ta'ala an yataqabbala minkum hadhihi al-munajat wa an yu'ajjil bil faraj wal nasr inshallah. My dear brothers and sisters in this gathering, I first start by thanking you for holding this event. I know that the Malaysian solidarity with Palestine is exceptional. I've lived here for several years and have seen how much Malaysians identify with Al-Aqsa, with Palestine, with Gaza, how much Malaysians feel committed to support this struggle. But to be honest to you, these last few days, I'm witnessing an unprecedented amount of support, an unprecedented amount of solidarity, an unprecedented amount of sympathy and empathy. People are trying really hard to show that they care for Al-Aqsa, they care for Palestine, and they care for resistance, they care for Gaza, and this is inspiring. When people in Gaza who are under Israeli bombardment, when people in the West Bank who are receiving Israeli bullets with their naked chest, when people inside Al-Aqsa Mosque who keep getting hurt and shot and come back to Al-Aqsa Mosque, hear the news of their brothers and sisters in Malaysia congregating, gathering every day for the issue of Al-Aqsa and the issue of Palestine, trust me, the amount of inspiration is huge. The amount of motivation they receive is huge. And those who were lucky enough to go and visit Al-Aqsa and Gaza have witnessed before their eyes how happy the Palestinian people become when they see a Malaysian brother or sister willing to come and learn about their struggle, support it, back it. The time when the whole ummah will be directly engaged in liberating Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa and liberating Palestine will come. It's not there yet, but in order to reach that point, we need to prepare. وَأَعِدُّ. We have to be really prepared in order for the ummah at one point of time to be able to come to liberate Palestine. The role that the Palestinian people play is to protect Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa, to protect the Palestinian land, to protect the Palestinian identity. And Alhamdulillah, I assure you, they have been very successful in this. The Palestinians do not expect to end Israeli occupation and defeat Israel militarily anytime soon. But they expect to continue to protect Al-Aqsa, to continue to protect their land, to continue to protect Gaza, Jerusalem, until the right time comes when the whole ummah will be engaged in a final war of liberation, a final battle of end of this occupation and liberation of Palestine. And this is your role, the brothers and sisters in ABIM, in other Islamic movements, in other even nationalist movements. This is your role. Al-Aqsa is an icon for the whole Muslim ummah. If the center of the Muslim culture and Muslim civilization is under occupation from a brutal fascist enemy, that means the whole ummah is under occupation. if the center of our civilization is being disrespected, humiliated, desecrated, that means all of us are being targeted and being humiliated. So we have to be prepared for the right time when we come and engage with this enemy to end, inshallah, occupation. But let's have a glimpse at what's happening right now in Palestine. There are Palestinians protesting on daily basis inside Jerusalem, inside the West Bank, and inside so-called Israel, 1948 territories. The huge participation of the Palestinian people has shocked the Israeli society and the Israeli leadership. Netanyahu thought that he can just, annex Sheikh Jarrah and storm Al-Aqsa Mosque without any major response. What happened is that thousands of Palestinians continued to pour into the streets until this moment, all over Palestine. In Jerusalem, over 520 people were injured when the Israeli police stormed the mosque and started shooting people arbitrarily. In the West Bank, 22 shaheed so far in 1 week. 22 youngsters, people, civilian protesters, unarmed protesters, were shot by the Israeli police because they continue to protest. Several Palestinians inside Israel, in the lead city and others, were shot and killed by Israeli militias and Israeli police because they continue to protest until now. At the same time, this huge amount of civilian disobedience against the Israeli apartheid system, this amount of Palestinian demonstration and anger at the Israeli attempt to desecrate Al-Aqsa Mosque is only matched and paralleled by a strong, resilient, and vigorous resistance in Gaza. Something that makes not only the Palestinians proud, not only the people of Gaza proud, but the whole Ummah proud. This is a very small territory, my brothers and sisters. Gaza is smaller than Gomba, half the district of Gomba. But the people of Gaza, the Palestinian resistance in Gaza, are strong enough to deny Israel any success or any victory. Netanyahu thought by attacking Gaza, he could distract the whole world from his crime in Al-Aqsa and in Jerusalem. So he started bombarding Gaza by his Air Force, the US-sponsored Air Force, which receives $3.8 billion a year. He thought that he can distract the international attention from the crime in Al-Aqsa and from the apartheid system and the uprising inside Israel by attacking Gaza. But Gaza taught him a lesson. When you go and attack a beehive, you have to expect to be stung. And this is exactly what's happening to Netanyahu. He continues to bombard civilian homes, schools, mosques, police stations, government offices, the houses of officials, condominiums, international media centers, etc. And the most awful, of course, is that COVID testing labs and COVID quarantine centers. They bombarded all over. They killed over 220 civilian Palestinians. They killed more than 60 Palestinian children. But all of these Israeli, brutal attacks on Gaza did not distract the world from what the root cause, from what was happening. It is Al-Aqsa. Gaza is sacrificing everything right now, and the young Palestinians in the West Bank and Israel are sacrificing everything for Al-Aqsa. That means the Ummah has to come in aid to aid the struggle, because these people are actually doing it on our behalf. The young people who are protesting inside Jerusalem, the resistance fighters who are fighting Israel in Gaza, the protesters who got shot in the West Bank, they are doing this for you, for me and you, for people here in Kuala Lumpur, for people in Jakarta, for Muslims in the US, for Muslims in Europe. And not only for Muslims, for the free people of the world who don't accept injustice, for the Christians who ignore the injustice that happens to the Palestinian Christians. 1 month ago, Israel denied our Christian brothers inside the city of Jerusalem entry into the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, the holiest church in the Christian world. So those young men and women in Palestine are actually sacrificing everything they possess for the dignity of the Palestinian people, the freedom of Palestine, the end of this injustice and apartheid, and the protection of your and my holy places and sanctuaries. So the responsibility is huge on us, my dear brothers and sisters. We who are here right now in Kuala Lumpur or all over Malaysia or outside Palestine, be it Palestinian or non-Palestinian, the responsibility is really, really huge. We cannot just let people die silently. The minimum we can do is to voice out their concerns. And I really appreciate and salute the Malaysian people for the huge contribution that they have been doing on the cyber level. The posts I see on social media, the kind of efforts that are done by young Malaysian men and women, these millennials, the TikTok generation, they are actually engaged in a direct struggle for Palestine. Inshallah, this generation will be the one that will liberate Al-Aqsa, and our generation, your generation, Brother Ahmad Azzam's generation will be able, inshallah, to pray in Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa Al-Mubarak. That is not a dream anymore. That is a reality. Wallahi, ya ikhwa, this is a reality. When you see Palestinians inside Israel, inside 1948 lands, these people have been under Israeli rule for 73 years. They have been subject to all cultural, psychological, and sociological efforts and policies to transform their identity. Israel tried very hard to make these Palestinian, Muslim, and Christian people inside Israel think they are Israelis, to brainwash them. 73 years later, they are protesting until now. The Palestinians in the West Bank, in spite of all the measures to repress them, they are protesting. The Palestinians in Gaza who have seen hell in the last decade, who have been denied everything in the last 15 years, who have been cut off from the world. You know that COVID reached Gaza more than 6 months after the whole world? Why is that so? Because it's cut from the whole world. These people are actually the ones who are leading all of us to protect Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa Al-Mubarak, and they are making sure that our generation will be able to pray in Al-Aqsa. So let's continue our support on all levels. The individuals can play a big role. Don't wait for governments and institutions. No, you can do something, especially if you are online and if you are connected. You can do something. Donate if you can. Don't hesitate to contribute to this just noble cause, because this is a form of jihad, and try your effort to pressure and to apply whatever influence you have over your own institutions, your government agencies, the leadership here, to continue to play an important role and to engage the international community for the sake of Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa and Palestine. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that these efforts will be blessed, inshallah, and soon, inshallah, we will have Munajat program, but not in Kuala Lumpur and not virtual. We will have it, inshallah, physically inside Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa Al-Mubarak. يرونه بعيدا ونراه قريبا. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.